Thursday, March the 14th, 2024. Welcome to Digital Plantation Podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne, and welcome. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Now, we're doing a little special here. We're giving you a little sneak peek on just doing a little bit half and half here. So you're going to see half of it on YouTube, but if you want to get into the deeper waters of the conversation, you need to make sure you head on over and subscribe to our podcast, Digital Plantation. How do you do that? Well, it's simple. Just go to the links in the description, and we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on Amazon Music, we're on iHeartRadio. We are all over the place where there's a podcast. Now, and the reason why I did this is because I'm getting people that's telling me, hey, listen, I'm trying to listen to you, but when I'm at work, I don't want the boss to see me looking at my phone. Well, we gave you a solution, and that is doing it on the podcast. You can just listen to it. You know what I'm saying? As you're going about your business. And if you're driving, you can have it playing in your car. So check it out. It's Digital Plantation. And why do we call it that? Because the internet in of itself is one big digital plantation. Don't fool yourself now. It's a plantation. Every time you clicking, you picking cotton. I'm telling you the truth. Anyway, so we got that, but we also have another podcast. It's called Tech Tribes. Now that one we're actually diving in 3 to 5 minutes episode, and we're looking at history. We're looking at not just history, we're looking at African history. We're looking at the history of our people throughout the diaspora. But it's not just the history. We're looking at the technological stuff that we have produced for thousands of years. We're looking at all of that, and it's very interesting. We're doing 3 to 5 minutes. Make sure you subscribe to that too. Again, it's called Tech Tribes. Okay, real quick, what we're going to be talking about today is Elon Musk. He decided to take on slavery. This dude has no ends, does he? I mean, he can talk about anything, right? Well, we're gonna listen to what his opinion is on slavery and how black people should look at slavery. Okay, and we also going to talk about how the Danish government demanded receipts from Bill Gates, and guess what they found? Well, we're gonna talk about that. We're also going to talk about how the city of Denver is now requesting property owners to rent exclusively to illegal immigrants. Yeah, I told y'all it's happening, y'all. But here's the thing we're going to talk about after the break. We're going to talk about this whole belief that people with white skin are cursed, or therefore white people are cursed. We're going to look at this. Is skin a curse? Is that a sign of a curse? We're going to talk about that, okay? We're going to delve into that topic because we got to look at it, and we're going to have to be honest, okay? We're going to have to be honest. So, again, thank you so much for tuning in to Digital Plantation, and I hope you guys stick around, and most importantly, that you subscribe to the podcast, both of them, okay? So let's go ahead and get on into it here, make sure my levels are good and all of that. Okay, so Elon Musk, I'm on Twitter. And Elon Musk, he posted a video, and as soon as I could find it now. Anyway, in the video, there's a guy on here that's talking about how, as black folks, or he was just saying how people, first, I'll just say this. Let me get to, I'm going to pull up I thought I bookmarked it, but I guess I didn't. Let me pull up his tweet here. And it was something he said earlier. Hey, even my browser was closed. What is going on here? Okay, so let me see. Elon Musk. Okay, here we go. All right, so he tweeted earlier something to the effect. You know what? Let me. I have a screenshot on my phone. And then I'm going to go right to the video. How about that? I'll just do that because I took a screenshot of something he posted. And here we go. All right. So he said, teach a people to hate themselves and their history, and they are defenseless against mind viruses. They can be reprogrammed with ease. Now, when he said that, I was like, that's actually a true statement. That's actually a true statement, right? But I was like, I know with him is always but wait, there's more. And so then later on, he posted, he retweeted a video from somebody, and he said, good summary of the history of slavery. And so I'm going to play this audio clip is about 6 minutes long. Okay. And I want you to listen to this man's argument. Let me see if I can even get it on the screen here. Hold on, because I got a lot going on my desktop here. Let me see if I can get it on the screen here. All right, so that means right here. Here we go. And I want you to listen in to this man's reasoning, rationale, what he's talking about when it comes to slavery, and what his take on it. See, as you can see, that's the tweet right there. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and play it. We're gonna sit back and we're just gonna listen to this. Okay. Quite interesting.
This self-criticism that we see about the nation, why is it that in Western civilization we have so much trouble with nationhood?
You've spent 60 years teaching your children to hate your own civilization. Why are you surprised that they hate your civilization? Sorry, but that's what's happened.
It works.
It worked, and absolutely. And by the way, it's not just hate. It's hard to teach people to hate. What's much easier is to lie to them about history. So in the UK, for example, in England, there's this. We have the Church of England, I think, has just approved £1 billion worth of reparations because we talk endlessly about slavery, and the narrative on slavery in seems to me to be, there was no slavery, and then the British Empire came along and invented slavery, and then woke people came along and ended slavery. When, of course, we all know what actually happened, which is slaves were probably the first good that human beings ever traded. Never had anything to do with racism, by the way. It was a fact of life that conquered peoples would be subjugated by others and used as...
Okay, so let me stop him right there. He said none of it had to do anything with racism already. Okay, all right. We talking about making things up here. So they came along, and it was just purely just an economic thing. So in other words, it was like they went into a big human supermarket, and they just said, I'll take some of those. I'll take some of these people. I'll take some of that or whatever. Let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you this. It wasn't a race thing. That's what you're saying. It had nothing to do with race. So did the British, or I'm saying it wrong, did they enslave each other? Now, they did have, people working at slavish prices, so to speak. But did the British, I'm trying to remember a time in history where the British actually enslaved one another to the degree that they did with Africans. Let me think for a second. No, it didn't happen. So let's continue.
Labor and would be traded. Native Americans kept slaves, and so did everybody else throughout history. The British Empire practiced slavery just like everybody else. Because of their superior technological advantage, they were able to move slaves across oceans in a way that others weren't. And then the British ended slavery, not only within the borders of their own realm, but also spent a tremendous amount of blood and treasure to force the trans-Saharan slave trade, which was much worse, lasted longer, had a higher death rate. The men were all castrated. The women were taken as sex slaves. They forced that slave trade to end, a tremendous diplomatic, military, and monetary cost. And so, this idea that we must eternally apologize for the sins of the past seems to me absolutely ridiculous. Now, does that mean we shouldn't recognize that those things were bad? Yes, of course we should, and we should acknowledge and learn from them. But it seems to me very odd. I made this point in the book. I have a whole chapter on slavery in it, which is, imagine, if you have to, that, 50 years from now, we're all going to be vegan because they get their way, right? Because eating animals is this terrible crime. Would we then say that the people who ended that practice were the most evil in history? That wouldn't make any sense at all. I think we would say, well, this is the first empire in the history of the world that ended this practice we now consider immoral. Good on them. And by the way, did so for moral reasons. I mean, the abolitionists in England were people who were motivated by a different morality.
The fact that this man is comparing lives to fruits and vegetables, it tells you a whole lot there. But let's continue. That's a very, very bad comparison. I see where he's trying to go, But it's, that's a whole lot of, Anyway, let's continue.
That was developing, which said something about the value of the individual. So the idea that we would denigrate our history in this way, to me, seems absurd. And every civilization in history, every great empire in history is built on conquest. This is how the world is. This is human nature. And to pretend otherwise, I think, is very unwise.
It seems that at the moment, Western civilization has never been safer, richer than ever. We should ultimately be ever more self-confident in ourselves, yet we are ever more self-critical about ourselves. Is it just because we've had it too good? Is that what allows us to have that luxury?
Well, it seems that way. Something I've been thinking about a lot is people are always very suspicious and wary of families that are able to preserve wealth over many generations. The Rothschilds, the Rockefellers, the whoever's. And I think that's because it's very difficult. The first generation break through and build something special. The second manage it, and the third waste it, basically, is how it tends to go. So to be able to maintain generation upon generation of people who truly value what they have, even though they're growing up in increasing luxury, is very, very difficult. And this is where education comes in. And if we had people who were being educated about the history of their civilization and their society in an accurate way, I think we'd be in a far better place. But what has been happening on Western college campuses and in Western schools for the last many decades is the reason we are where we are.
Let me stop here for a second, because see, I want you to take notice of the dance that both of the groups that I'm about to mention to you do. Okay, that's why in many cases I lump them together, because they do it. Okay, so this man that you're listening to right now, his name is Konstantin Kisin. Okay, I don't know what his background is or whatever. He's listed as a politically non-binary satirist. Okay, so, but anyway, I don't know what his background is, who his mama and daddy was, or where they come from and all that. But I want you to take notice of something right here. Okay, now you have the two groups that I'm about to mention to you. I'm just going to say straight European folks. Okay, European white. All right, you got your European white. Then you also have your Jewish. All right. Now, it was him that brought up the Rothschilds. He brought that up. And he brought it up in his example to say that, hey, the Rothschilds, for example, people, they need to understand that it's very difficult. It takes a lot of work to have generational wealth, and that requires education and all of this stuff. So he's holding the Rothschilds up along the same level of white Europeans. So he's making that example. So, but here's the thing. A lot of times Jewish will do the same thing. On one hand, they will make comparisons between them and Europeans. They'll say that we're white or whatever, but then they'll do this thing where, depending on the situation, they will delineate themselves really quick. So when black folks, when we talk about reparations, we're talking about anybody that took part in not just slavery, but everything beyond that kept us economically down. So that's both of you. But in this guy here, he just put the two together, proving our point that those that are demanding for reparations, guess what? We're coming after both of you, and we have every right to. And you just made it clear that both of these groups, you mentioned the Rothschilds, so you're talking about the Jews, and this other group, white Europeans, they both took part in this. Both of them did. And I'm not saying the Rothschilds were in slavery. I'm just saying, but they are part of the white structure, white European structure. That's the point I'm trying to make. Now, were the Rothschilds directly involved in slavery? Probably so, but I don't have any evidence in front of me right this second to make that claim. But did you have Jews that were part of it? Absolutely. It's something that it's hard for them to admit, but they do admit to it, and they acknowledge it, and the history books will tell you as well. Let's go ahead and let him finish out, okay?
One of the reasons why Western civilization has been successful is obviously its capacity to self-criticize, evolve, and improve. Everything you've been talking about tonight doesn't really sound like self-criticism anymore, right? It's something more malign. Does this mean that we can't grow from the experience, the challenges that Western civilization is currently facing?
Well, again, let's translate all of this conceptual stuff into simple language. If you talked about your spouse in the way that people talk about their country, people would call you an abuser. That's what they'd say. They'd say, why are you talking about your wife in this way? That's rude, that's wrong, that's immoral, They would be suspicious of you. But the way that people talk about their own country is perfectly acceptable to do so. So self-criticism, as I mentioned about freedom of expression, is the bedrock of our progress. The ability to say, no, we shouldn't be continuing to do this. Actually, we should be, thinking about how to do this better. But it seems to me that we're in the grips of as Christianity has pulled back, we are now in the grips of a new religion that offers no absolution of any kind whatsoever. You cannot do anything to absolve yourself of your straight white male privilege. There's no way of you must just feel forever guilty. And this isn't self-criticism, this is self-denigration, and it's designed for self-destruction. These people, as I say again, are the enemies.
So to some sort of fracturing elements that we see in society. Now, Australia does pride itself as being arguably the most successful multicultural nation.
Okay, I'm assuming it's fading out on his own. I'm not doing that. So it's, so anyway, so we get the point on what this man is saying. And listen, I'll give you even this much. I'll even put this on the table as well. I do believe there are actors, if you will, in this conversation as far as what white people owe, that are, what's the word I'm looking for? They are making the conversation a little bit more radioactive. And what I mean is that the root, let's go back to the reparations debate. Okay. Now, if you follow this platform, I have said repeatedly how I feel about reparations. I do think that reparations is a valid argument. I do believe that it is in fact a very valid argument. However, do I believe it's something that will happen? Absolutely not. Not in this system. Do I believe it's something that will fix our own internal issues as a people? Absolutely not. It will not. But that in of itself does not dismantle the reparations argument in of itself. It's a valid argument, and I've given my reasons many, many times before on that. So just to be clear on that. But there's a couple of things I wanted to bring out about this gentleman and what he's saying and other people that agree with him, because I'm hearing this a lot. But like I just said, number one, you do have people in this that are in this thing. And yes, they are putting the pedal to the metal and trying to make it seem as if white people will forever be guilty, meaning that there's nothing they can do to fix it. There's nothing at all. They're just, they just forever are doomed forever. Even no matter how much if they did pay reparations, they'll still be guilty and all this other stuff. I don't subscribe to that at all. And I do recognize you have different ones that come into this argument and into this discussion, and they blow it way beyond the centerpiece of the actual argument, which I'm making right now, which we're discussing right now. And so basically what he misses in this, him and Elon Musk, is this. If you're going to use England as an example when it comes to, because I think it was, if it wasn't him, I think maybe it was in the comments, people were saying, well, how long does this have to go? And, this whole debate about discussion about reparations, England actually led the way to dismantle slavery, which, yes, historically, he's absolutely right on that. But there's a few things that he's missing out of that historical account. Number one, England did do that. However, what did they do? When England made it clear that they were going to dismantle or stop their involvement in the transatlantic slave trade, the owners of these African slaves, they said, hold on for a second. Now we're going to be out a whole lot of money. England, y'all need to do something. So England had no problem at all saying, you know what? We're going to find the coins. We're going to find the bag, and we're going to make this right by you as the owners, as the people who are profiting off of this. We're going to make sure we make it right. So collectively, the banks got together in England and they paid reparations to the owners. Now, when it came to those Africans that they purchased as slaves, now they said, okay, well, slavery is over. You're free. But here's the thing. England, like a lot of other places in the English Empire, in the British Empire, there was segregation. And it was not just segregation, it was economic segregation. So here you have a situation where England was taking all of that wealth that they generated off of slavery and keeping it in-house for the people who were not just this wasn't just some business transaction like you doing ones and zeros. No, they were beating the hell out of folks. They were involved in rape. So you're dealing with a lot of crime, a lot of criminal activity. There was a lot of stuff that they were going on. This wasn't no straight business. So let's get that right, number one. Let's get that straight right now. It wasn't no straight business where they were just saying, okay, 9 to 5. Okay, you're done, Negro. All right, you can go back home now. No, it wasn't like that. This was dehumanizing what they were doing. There was, to my knowledge, no significant criminal court that held these people accountable for the human rights abuses that they were doing. Let's talk about it, okay? So no, there was no accountability, because something like that would have happened today. There is some level of accountability where people can get sued for millions of dollars for this kind of stuff. You understand what I'm saying? But all of these owners, for the most part, got off scot-free. What he's talking about is they just said one day, okay, we're going to stop doing it. That's it. As if that was like a favor. So, but what England did is that, again, the British Empire, what they said is, okay, we're going to compensate these people. But black folks, on the other hand, economically, they said, whoa, where you think you're going? I know you're free, but you can't get paid like everybody else can get paid now. You can't work where everyone else work right now. You can't live where everyone else live right now. You can't shop where everybody else shops now. So there was economic segregation that held us back for decades. Do you understand what I'm saying? And so that is where the reparations argument between the slavery piece, and if you got problems with the slavery piece and you're like, well, that was just too long ago, which it really wasn't, then you can definitely look at what I'm talking about right now, the period after slavery. The argument is very clear. And that is where you need to have that discussion, especially there. Do you understand what I'm saying? But like I said, slavery for sure. But even afterwards, I'm just looking at it from that perspective as well, because I don't think a lot of people put too much emphasis on that. I say it's both. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is where the argument begins. So no, bro, this wasn't no simple business transaction. It wasn't like that at all. Now, here's the other final thing I'm going to say, and then we're going to move on to our next point. See, the thing that I have issues with people like this is that when it comes to the issue of reparations, okay, I just kind of laid it out, right? White people like Elon Musk and some of these other people, all of a sudden it becomes full stop. Now all of a sudden it's woke. You're being woke for even talking about any of this stuff. But Elon Musk, if I'm remembering right, not too long ago, he basically was forced to take a trip all the way to Poland to go visit a certain place. Yeah, a camp, Auschwitz. He went there because they wanted to make sure he was he had his mind right when it came to protecting the chosen, if you know what I mean. And so people like Elon Musk and then other people, when you look at these different countries here, because like I said, I know I'm taking a little bit long on this first segment here, but it is what it is. When you look at these other groups when you look at, when you look at the Jewish community, right? What took place during World War I? You had the Allies, you had all these different countries that got together, including the United States. And basically the storyline is this: they were so horrified with what was going on and how these Jews were being treated. So all of these countries got together, banded together, and they said, we are so horrified, we are going to go to full scale, not just war, we're going to go to world war to go and rescue these people out of these camps. And so all these countries got together, and where the storyline goes, they were rescued. I'll just leave it at that. But they were rescued. Now, it didn't just end there, as you know, because ever since then, it's understandable, again, going with the storyline, it's understandable if Germany is shelling out for the way they treated these people. That's understandable because Germany was the ones that were holding these people down. You understand what I'm saying? That's understandable if Germany's held responsible. But what I don't understand and I don't get is, why is it that the United States, the UK, Australia, you can go down the list of all these other countries that actually took part in rescuing these people for years, have been sending millions and millions and millions and millions of reparations money to these people. Now, hold on. Rewind here for a second. I thought they were the rescuers. Why are the rescuers paying reparations to these people? Why is that happening? That should be just Germany. Why is that just happening? Why is the United States paying for that? So people like Elon Musk, he clearly ain't got no problem with that. There's no problem with that at all. He has no issue with that when it comes to these other countries paying them. Now, here's the other thing. Here's the other piece to the puzzle. Now, I think I did a post on this on our community page. You can go and look through newspapers, news sources in Israel, and there are articles after articles after articles. You may have even seen it on your timeline here on YouTube, where there's ads that will come up and say, you know, these people, the survivors of the Holocaust, they are still dealing with poverty. You can do something today, family. You can do something to help these survivors of the Holocaust today. You know, just send them something. And of course, in the arms of the, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on for a second. All these billions of dollars in money that all these countries have been sending, you telling me that you still in poverty? Where's all that money going? So you take what I just said to you, and this gentleman that you just heard speaking, and Elon Musk and other people like him, they don't have anything at all to say about that. But black folks who are making a clear argument when it comes to reparations, all of a sudden now that's a bridge too far. Now all of a sudden that's, that's being wokeism by even bringing it up. And like I said, I will acknowledge and admit you do have some other actors in this argument that are blowing certain things way out of proportion and bringing a lot of fog into it. But we brought clarity to this situation. It's very clear and simple to me. If you want to talk business, it's very clear to me. But this right here, what I just shared with you, that makes absolutely no sense at all. It makes no sense as to how you can tolerate one, but the other, we can't really talk about that because, that's just a bridge too far. And, we really can't go into that because, how long do you think we need to be accountable for this? And, the way you talk about, us is the way you talking. It's like comparing it to your wife and all this stuff. You bringing all those discussions up when it comes to black folks, but when it comes to the monies, the millions and billions of dollars you've been sending to the Jewish people, well, those comparisons don't come up either. right? They don't come up at all. Well, anyway, what we're going to do is let's take a short break here. And then when we come back, we're going to continue on this first segment of Digital Plantation. I'll see you in a little bit. Hey guys, that was just a sneak peek of our podcast over on iTunes, on Spreaker, on Spotify, on iHeartRadio, Digital Plantation. I just gave you a little sneak peek. Well, it was longer than a sneak peek there, but I would really encourage you to go head on over and don't just listen, subscribe. We're going to be adding a whole bunch of content over there. And what I imagine is it will probably be 2 to 3 times a week. We'll be adding stuff on here that you will not hear on YouTube, and we'll be covering the news and all of that. I'll be doing that a little more. I'll be doing that a lot more consistently over there, while here on YouTube, you'll just get every now and then you'll get little tidbits and stuff like that. But here on this podcast, we'll keep it tight. We ain't gonna make it too long, okay? But we'll keep it tight on there, and we'll be covering different news segments and things like that over on our podcast, the Digital Plantation Podcast. So I hope to see you over there, and the links are below in the description box there. Go ahead and click on those links, and I'll see you there.